nothing's already done yet.
You know, the whole idea of timeless, that gave me the confidence. I mean, that's what this is about. That gave me the confidence to know that I hadn't sold it, or I didn't want to cheapen it, because I think the genre, you know, how important this thing has been for me and everyone,
Yeah.
all of us. For me, it's really, it's sometimes hindered me in a way that I didn't give a fuck, and I don't give a fuck, and I think I've had that same attitude from you, where it don't really matter, man. You know, and I think that them tunes there, even people after the effects say, well, you can just go and do anything now. It's never been the case, because that's the blueprint, and I can't go and do them other tunes because it ain't me, and it ain't you, and it's just, and you know what? Good luck to anyone that wants to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck to them, man.
But I think
Yeah,
that tune in particular gave me the confidence to make Timeless, because you know what I went through with that whole album, you know, signing it. And I felt like, I think it was even Blue Note when Trenton came down, and he pulled out the gold disc, and it was like lights on. We did it. It went gold, and it was at the Blue Note, and I'm like,
nobody wasn't expecting any of that. Nobody. You know, when you signed to London Records, it was like, wow.
we're gonna sell it out.
Because remember, like if you sign to a little moving shadow, that's a big thing. You get what I'm saying? But London Records, fucking hell, that's massive. How do you do that? Do you know what I'm saying? Because we were selling units. Do you know what I'm saying? But we didn't realise like what we were actually doing. We had no idea.
I know. I think I had Pete Tong, part 1, 2, and 3 went out, and Pete was saying that, you know, we were making noise. I mean, it's not just one man creates an army. I think we were making so much noise with what we had going on, because Roast and, you know, Rage and all these different things that people were doing. All of that.
Paradise and all that, yeah.
Paradise, Roast, you know, Speed, Swerve, all of these different things. We weren't going to let it go. And I think that, and I don't mind when people put it in the same pot, but Timeless for me, it was on its own, and it was the alpha thing for me in terms of what an album's can do. Because you got to think about the other things on the album. Think about Adrift and then the State of Mind and things, that tracks that people didn't even think, you know, that drum and bass people could make. And you listen to them now, and it sounds like, you know, it's timeless music, excuse the pun. But I think because it had those other tunes on there, it had the love of the underground, because it had those versions of tunes on there that have grown with the roots of where we came from. But it gave it the wings, I guess, to move on. I mean, because we spoke on tour. I think we set up the tour stuff going on, and you come and DJ. Because remember that whole thing with you guys coming to play at the beginning of the night, some or the earlier guys. But then at night we'd have, when we did like Kentish Town and we did the London tour and around the country, we turned it into a rave. And I think even London Records were like, you know,
that's back when you used to do a little windmill now and again.
I couldn't do it now, mate. I'll tell you. I did my backing yesterday, carried my liver. More yoga. Look, I got white all over me arms. It ain't coke, it's talcum powder. I'm doing all right. But yeah, I mean, Groove. I mean, not only do I have to thank you, I think a whole heap of man. You know, you've been so in your own team. You know, you and Fabio, can't forget Fabio. Man. You know, because you two like created a lot of us. I spoke to Gavin, you know, Gavin Nookie the other day. Gavin's just that boy, man. He just took my head off. 22 track techno album just destroyed me. My man went to Detroit and bust up a few man, you know. Like,
that's what I'm talking about. As I tell people, like, you know, you get those people, how do you still like drum and bass this, drum and bass that? But the bottom line is, it's easy to make other tunes compared to drum and bass, right? So many artists come out of drum and bass and smash it in other genres. But how many artists have come from another genre and smashed drum and bass?
Haven't. Just doesn't happen.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You know what? I can actually quote probably one tune, Jungle Blackout.
I was just about to say the Todd Terry thing. That is it.
That's it. The Todd Terry thing. And the only other team that teeth it out was Bug in the Basement at 45, because Fabio played it at 45, but it's a 33 tune. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about real talk. In terms of real talk, you know, we've got American artists. I get that. Bless you, American artists. You know, on certain artists for me, could make a little bit of noise. You know, like Hive was another guy that you could do, knock out 2 little tune now and then.
Oh, yeah, don't get me. Yeah, of course, man. Of course.
But
Of course.
big artists that come into in terms of the genre. Because Jungle Blackout, when that came, I remember that tune got played in Blue Note. A man's looking around going, it weren't him. It's like we're cancelling out. Like, you know what I mean? You know, you get 16, because 16 bars, usually, you know me, I'll run straight to the front of that. I'm not going to tell you who's fucking right? You know what I mean? Even when Convoy got drawn out, that's fucking Matrix. It's got to be Matrix. Ain't obstacle. That's Matrix, man. It's got to be. You know, and like Graham's tunes, and certain man we'd know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have me shouting, "Come the Raider, come!" You know, it's running around my big loud mouth. Do you know what I mean? But we'd know certain tunes. So, you know, of course we know Carl's tunes, but certain tunes, folks.
Yeah, look, people got IDs, didn't they? They got the identity, but Todd come out of the blue, man. Come out of nowhere.
Come out of nowhere, man. Slap up a man with that tune. Even with the sample,
Yeah,
he was like some little mad little kung fu thing on the beginning of it. But you know what?
With the back end box, man. You know what I mean?
But it's been amazing. We're doing it's just been amazing with the remastering of the album, and without destroying it as well, because that's the one thing that I loathe, man. You know what I'm like? I've got my box full of DATs, pre-masters, still a little headroom in there. You know, no loudness. I think the only tune that we really went to town on a little bit was Sea of Tears. Just bring it out a little bit, because obviously Mel Gaynor on drums, which was amazing. And literally with Timeless, we just rode it through the EQ, just rode it a little, you know, just rode it a little bit, and it accentuated it a touch. It's about half a dB to a dB in places. But, you know, I'm really glad to actually still be here. I mean, I found this groove. Look at this. So one of my boys, do you remember that version?
No.
It was the prototype. It was the prototype first promotion.
I don't remember it because I never got one.
That was all London Records singing it. It was like, yeah. It was
exactly. London Records ain't servicing me. I'm right, man.
Well, you know why? Because you got served up with about 20 million dub plays. I want the money back, you know, about 20%. That's about right now. That equals out. That 20% equals out, mate. I'll be going back having pot noodle, you know, going, yeah, mate, like this. Yeah, he played the tune, you know. Pot noodle tonight again, you know.
Like, people don't get it, man. They don't get it. It's like, it's different now. This is what we're happy about, or you were happy about back then. People now, they want $2,000. They don't want to be happy somebody playing their tune. They want to get paid. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's a big difference now.
It was all about...
We did it for the love. We didn't realise we'd get any money out of this. We just did it because we could. Do you get what I'm saying? And this was paying for us to do more. Do you know what I'm saying? We're getting the little DJ money or the little production money or whatever. But it was just carrying on. We wasn't getting no major money, but it enabled us to do what we love. People now, they want to be buying them, you know, 50 grand cars and all that. Like after you DJing. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the time. You know, and furthermore, this money ain't there because you ain't selling vinyl. We were selling vinyl, going hand to hand with this
vinyl.
shit.
And I mean, even Mo's music at the back of the car with the white labels, and
exactly.
You know, was they were big times, man. You know, like, and you think about the whites now. All those whites now. I mean, I see things going for silly money, and I think, but you know, with me, I've never, you know, I just got this set up here for this whole bloody, you know, post-COVID larky to go, you know, playing Timeless next week and all the album. Yeah. I've never really played music at home. I've never been that kind of guy. Just come home and I'd rather paint. But I think the amount of service, the amount of plates you must have. You still got all your plates. You must have all the prototype stuff.
I've got rid of loads of it, man. It's
just got ridiculous
falling apart in the house. Just get rid of it all, man.
Look, I got one of the original plates here, right? That I put in a frame. You can see this thing here, yeah. It's gone grey. Look, it's silver. That middle one there for the acetate. Yeah, man. I got them. I mean, there was the original Terminator acetate. And then the original Angel acetate, you know, and I mean, I've just been digging them things up, and it's kind of weird because I think if we could have recorded everything back then, you know, would it be worth as much? Not nostalgia is the wrong word. I think the way we came up was the timing of the technology. You know, Rob Playford, you know, Rob was on the top of his fucking game in terms of software. He really was. I've got to give a shout with Rob on that. I've always said that. You know, in terms of technical ability. You know, as time code, he wasn't really doing much, but in terms of me and him as a partnership, I could push him with any technicality and say, look, man, I want to try and really push it. Even the snaking on the wheels, the HF harmonizer, which I still have to this day. And I think with the period of time we were going through politically, we don't get into politics too much, but it was changing, and I think the way we go out raving, you know, the rage as the church, you know, as the main establishment for us. I mean, on the success of what you guys, Fabio did, and you did with the celebration of rage. I mean, that was the one fucking gig that I missed, man. That I was gutted. I was here. That's the old, I didn't give a fuck about me being like, yeah, you want to guess it? I'm like, whatever, man. You know, yeah, whatever. But
sick, bro.
you know, I heard that was just one of the most phenomenal nights.
Yeah, it was.
You guys went back. You went back.
Yeah, man. It's our thing, though, isn't it? That's what we are. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about our best part of music, that's it there. You know what I'm saying? That whole history, that whole thing, that whole time. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't get it half the time, like what it's sort. You know, once you're in the position of like actually innovating a genre, I don't really get it because I was the person that was doing it, so I don't really get it. But when you look back at it now, it's like, fuck, you know, did I really do shit like that?
Hey, listen, I've been playing.
You know, when I was speeding up when I was speeding up breaks, speeding up break beats to 45, I didn't realise what I was doing. You get what I'm saying? Like,
you guys did that. You guys originated that. And when you guys did that, you have to understand, when we were listening, all those Mannix tunes, all those other tunes, we're listening too. And it was such a reciprocal thing. It was that worker bee thing, man. Going back to the hive. And that's really, that gave me the premise to be able to think, right, when it started blowing up, if you remember rightly, you couldn't get any more bookings on a Saturday night because everyone was rammed. There's only so many hours in a day. So it went from Thursday to Friday and Saturday being completely rammed everywhere. And the scene was exploding everywhere. And you got all the overground coming. And then we got the church. We got Sunday at Blue Note, which we made for you guys. And I was just doing production. And of course, Kemi and Jane having a place for them to play. I mean, even Loxy would go in and open up the whole night and just play for fucking 5 hours, and there would be no one in there for the first 8 or 9 weeks. And then when you guys just rolling in there week in, week out, that for me was what catapulted in unison at the same time to be able to think this is gonna go, man, even more now.
Well, it was needed anyway because at that time all the G's were kind of running around, fucking shooting up the place and going nuts. So Metalheads was like something that was outside of that circle. Do you get what I'm saying? And plus, it was in the early evening.
Yeah, he got mad, and I felt that Sunday night.
You know what I mean? I was thinking to myself, shit, I'm gonna have to change this music, and that's why this whole head swing kind of popped up for me. Like the sound. You know, they were calling it devil music back then. You remember? You know what them people tried to do. Remember that?
I ain't gonna call it
that, man.
But man would say, my man's playing, man, I cut devil music and I cut the nose. I'm like, you know.
That same devil music cleaned up my scene. And that's what it was. And that's what it was for me. And like, the more you lot say that, the more I'm going to fucking go in. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, you be playing that, people be looking at you playing this so-called devil music. But you know what? I see man on the same stage, standing holding cans of tenants, listening to that same said devil music within 6 months. So I don't want to hear nothing. And no Metalgate affair in the world can tell me anything different. You know, I've got a lot of love for a lot of people out there, and everyone knows that. But you see, when we were, you know, even with Randall, you know, I drove over to Randall with the whole of the Timeless on a cassette, and we sat in the car, and he was like, mate, things are going to change, you know. And you would say to me all the time, you know, like, gee, I know what you got to prove. You ain't nothing to prove. And I felt that there was this. I felt like I had to prove something still. I think Blue Note was made, so when I went on fucking tour, I would come up on a Sunday on tour in the US going, as a club. And Meredith would be, yeah, man, Spirit smashed it, you know, the boys smashed it tonight. You know what I mean? Like Pesce smashed tonight, Grooverider, Fabio, man, what was it like? Was it? Because when you and Fabio, I could get you on the night and it was together, which is a lot of the time we could make it work. That was just nothing could beat it. Nothing. I mean, we're going to start putting the dates on this Goldie Timeless website. Some of the recordings I've got, G, of Blue Note are just like you can hear the crowd through the needle, mate. That's how loud it was.
Yeah.
And that was like, and that really is going back to the idea of what a crucible means and what Timeless means to me. Is that album is not my album. It's your album. It's Joe Raver's album. It's all those
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who came back buzzing off their tits at 6 in the morning to listen to Adrift on a Sunday. You know what I mean? And people that wanted to listen. I mean, Sea of Tears, when that first started getting played, people were like, you know, I mean, you wouldn't even hear it at speed. You wouldn't, because it was like a risk. It was kind of too risky.
Mm-hmm.
It was out. It kind of left the gravity of the genre, if that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean? It was like that's what I felt
Oh
anyway.
yeah, as you say, man, it's easy to step out of drum and bass and do other things. You know what I'm saying? But when you're trying to come in, it's a whole different scenario. So, you know, it's the hardest music to make to sound good. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hey, look
as I
at
said,
it.
telling you, man, you can make and come on, man, like you can make a house tune tomorrow and feel confident that it sounds good. You can't do that with the same with a drum and bass tune. It just doesn't happen. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? I
yeah.
don't know, man.
That's a
That's
bit.
probably why I like it. It's the most challenging music out there. Always has been.
Well, I think the album's proven the test of time, and it was the decoy for me. I always said that's going
Yeah.
to be the decoy. That album is the decoy and the coming of age. But you know, I spoke to on last Sunday night, and it was I got it out of the middle of nowhere, and it was the kindest message, and I got a little bit of a moment. G, it was Optical.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because obviously Optical was like, you know what, I never understood, mother. I never understood what you were doing. I get it now. You know, after all these years,
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
you talked about that. And he goes, he made me go back and listen to Timeless in a whole other frame of mind. Do you know what I mean? And I think as
yeah,
much,
yeah, yeah.
to be honest, I wasn't crucified, you know, as much as as I'd make out, because I didn't give a fuck anyway. But it's like we care about it. I care about it. You don't really care about what someone says about it. But in one way, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. But on the other hand, you're like, this music, man.
Yeah, but you do. Yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
yeah.
But I wanted this album to go worldwide for people that wanted to. If you wanted to understand this fucking genre, you can't knock us now. You can't. You got nothing to say unless you're going to make an album better than it and come up from the outside in to tell us what this music's about. You know what I mean? And that was, and I think, of course, it was the catalyst for lots of other albums. You know,
Of course.
a year later, I think everyone signed and got.
Well, yeah. The bottom line is people had started to take note of what we were actually doing. So, you know what I'm saying? That's the bottom line. And if you're gonna take note of what we're doing, then what we were doing was fucking hot. So they had to get involved. The just had to get involved. Everybody had to get a slice. You know what I'm
Even you got a slice. No, today, even you got a slice. Today I wasn't on the double, mate. Probably one of the most underrated fucking tunes. I'm like, man, they got some funk in this tune here. I said, yeah. So I'm going in tomorrow. I'm just doing some nice little mixes here, just for the website thing. But yeah, I'm like on the double. Yeah, how you make me feel? Me missed. Yeah, that'll work. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, man, just tucking it in nicely. You know what I mean? I was sitting there for years, like, scared to fucking try and have a little attempt at DJing. And Kemi used to get me off the decks and go, nah, get off. Just go and make some music. But I'm really proud, G, to still be here. And I hope Timeless done for you. You know what? You know, done for us. You know what I mean? It's done a lot for us, I think, and I'm happy.
I mean, you know, it's a classic bit of work, isn't it? You know, you should be very proud of yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? You should be patting yourself on the back every day. Well, you do, obviously do. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, that was just, you know, I know your starting point was way before Timeless. So Timeless really opened it up for everybody. So I've got to say thank you as well, because, you know, it's a mutual thing for us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without you, there's no me, and without you, there's no me. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm still going to drive you mad.
Yeah, bro, that's the whole, bloody hope so. Keeps me on my toes. You know what I mean?
The other day, he didn't send me the tune. I'm still waiting. I mean, Matt Ivers, man's in the back of his. Yeah, I'm phone you. He's on the phone. Where are you? I'm in the studio. I'm here, two little meat in the bag. I'm still waiting.
Yeah, I'm working on things, man. I'm like, what if I think? We're just working, man. Just working.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I love you, G, and thank you so much. And mate, I'll just I mean, this is good. It's good. So I'll send it to you. Have a look. But blessings, mate.
Yeah, mate.
And listen, so have you been in any gigs? You're going to go out and do any gigs soon or what?
I'm going to Bulgaria tomorrow, mate. Just get stuck in. Little SS one.
I know what them ones can be like. Old SS, he's always at it. Only he could be free in Bulgaria running around with a rave. Anywhere where he can find an anti-COVID thing, he's going to be there with his mask, isn't he? With his little, I bet he's got his little record. I bet he's selling masks at the door, mate, knowing him.
Probably got the formation mask waiting for me to get on the plane, man.
Anyway, listen, I love you, man, and
Probably, brother.
keep it groove, man. Keep it groove.
All right,
Love you
then.
very much. All right, and
Take
I'll
care,
see
man.
you later. All right, groove.
Right, thanks a lot, yeah.
Peace out. I'm gonna switch this thing off. Right, I'm out.
Later, man.
Buttons on my he's used to this shit. Just fucking stop it. See you later, groove.
Yeah, man.